Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons show. Little pause there before I said Dungeons and Dragons show, just to keep you on your toes. We'll have some announcements and a recap, but before I get into any of that, Nick, would you go ahead and kick us off with some player introductions?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nick. I play Embers of White Ash, the Tabaxi Monk.
Hi, I'm Kay. I play Lady Elwyn Amelos, the Elvish Druid.
Hello, I'm Melissa, and I play Tuppence, who is a pixie bard.
Hi, I'm Zach, and I play Rook, who is a changeling artificer.
So those announcements we talked about. We premiere our episodes on YouTube every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Throughout the show, we use a variety of custom items, as well as a custom pixie lineage, which Melissa is kindly playing. The character portraits, which you'll see all over the layout, were drawn by an artist named Krista Porter, who goes by @KristaPorter with 2 R's on the end on Twitter. If you need a refresher on anything that's going on in this campaign, we have a campaign wiki at World Anvil. And there's a page that I try to keep pretty up to date that has kind of just a summary of everything that has happened in this campaign to this point. So if you're just jumping in now, you can just breeze through that and get a pretty good idea of what's going on. Other than that, you can check the video description for links and information to everything I just mentioned and more, including some links to Stop Asian Hate and Black Lives Matter resources. You can also follow us on Twitter at Antiheroes to get information about what we are doing and when. And finally, we just hope that you enjoy the show, share it with your friends, and come back to watch some more. So, before we dive into things for the night, let's go ahead and roll that intro video. Previously, on Antiheroes Anonymous, the Silver Seekers have been investigating a plot by the Dragontooth Brotherhood to steal a clutch of dragon eggs from a caravan in a few days' time. A journal found in one of their hideouts has laid the whole plan bare, including the date and time of the attack. The information will soon be in the Warden's hands, but 2 problems remain. First, Governor Nyasa is still at risk of assassination by the Brotherhood, and second, 2 canisters of Dragon's Breath, a potent weapon stolen from the highest bid auction house, are still in play. The group now heads back to the Millhouse with a great deal to discuss between them. So that is exactly where we're going to pick up tonight. The group of you have been trekking across town with your 2 newest friends, Squall and Bracca, in tow. The proprietor of the highest bid auction house being Squall and his chief of security, Bracca, having been invited to dinner at the Millhouse with the group of you to sort of hear more of what you went through to recover the dragon's breath. It's a bit of a trek across town, and by the time you get there, the sun is setting and evening is at hand. But as you come into the Millhouse, you can see that it is warm. There's a fire going in the hearth, and it is busy as the dinner rush always is, with Nora, Tess, and now also Molo, all rushing around trying to get plates to tables and just serve the patrons in general. However, it seems like one of the tables in the inn has kind of been set up as your regular table.
Oh.
And Molo in particular seems to be guarding that table very fiercely. Whenever people like go near that table,
I love
he rushes up and
Molo.
he's like, "No, this is where the Silver Seekers sit. This is not a table you can take." And he wards them off to other tables in less prime positions. And so yeah, you come in. The little bell by the door jingles. Nora
wonder
looks
how
up and
Nora
kind of
feels
gives you
about that.
away. Now, there's other available tables. He's just keeping yours safe. Nora gives you a wave as you come in, and then kind of gets right back down to her business. What would you like to do?
Tuppence wants to fly up and talk to Malt.
Yeah, make a perception check to try and find his place of hiding for the evening.
Embers is going to go briefly up to the room to kind of unwrap the package she got and see what the rest of it is and just put it with her things.
Okay.
I think
Uh,
Rook will show their guests to their table now. To our table.
I will. Elwin will go to the bar to check in with Nora and to put in an order for food.
Okay. We will start with Tuppence here, and then we'll just kind of go in the order that you said things. What was that perception check?
14.
I think with that, you're able to spot Malt pretty easily. He's kind of in a central position now. He's surveying the patrons that have come in for the dinner rush, trying to size up where the juiciest gossip is going to be. He hasn't quite decided where he's going to perch for the evening, it looks.
Then we came in.
Yep.
Now he knows where the
Yeah,
juice
so you can
is
fly
all
up to him
the
if you want.
time. If we have a permanent table, he'll be camped up there all blah. Okay, so
It is
Hi, Mom.
directly under one of the rafters, by the way.
I'm all
Oh, hi, Tuppence.
miss me today.
I suppose.
All right, good enough.
Was your day productive?
Hey, remember you sent us to that auction house?
And I see you've brought Squall and Braca back in tow. Will they be staying with us now?
Wouldn't that be fun? No, just thought it would be more comfortable. I was hungry. Just thought it'd be more comfortable to talk about what happened here. But I just wanted to fill you in. But if you're going to be over our table, I guess maybe I didn't need to do it personally. But I know how you love gossip, so
I appreciate the thought. And I'll be sure to be listening when you're talking. But if there's ever anything else you want to share with me, I will certainly welcome.
Okay. I know it hasn't been long, but you haven't heard anything about the fan, have you? Do you have anybody on that?
He shakes his head and says, I have been thinking about it. I'm not exactly sure how to proceed, but surely someone I communicate with has some inkling. I'll let you know as soon as I figure out how to approach finding more information.
Sweet. You're the best. All right. So we're going to be talking to them about what happened. So all ears on you. Bye.
He gives you a little smile and a wave of one of his claws. He's generally kind of grumpy in demeanor, but he seems thoroughly charmed by Tuppence in general. Like he definitely brightens up whenever you approach.
Okay.
And yeah, so he then flutters his wings over to the rafter that is directly above your table and kind of settles in there. So Embers then kind of jets upstairs with her package.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get into the room, close the door behind you, and it's not a large package. It kind of fits in the hand, but it's very sort of unevenly wrapped and kind of lumpy and hard to tell what might be inside. It's just in this like brown paper.
Yeah, I want to stow the book and the letter with my things and then unwrap the package.
Okay. You peel back the paper little by little. You kind of have to tear into it. And there's a couple layers of paper around this thing. But what falls out into your hand is a familiar object. It is the metallic concentric circles that make up the holy symbol that Maramis wore around his neck every time he went to see you, and that you saw Megan wearing around her neck when she came to visit the tavern as well.
Okay. This is like it's like a necklace or like a headband, or like how is this worn?
It has, so Maramis always wore it like around the neck, like as a necklace type thing. So it has a place where it can be attached to like a chain or like a leather string or something like that to hang around the neck. But it could also be worn in any number of other ways if you wanted to like attach it to a belt or something like that. There's definitely different options.
Okay. Do I have like a string or any length of twine? I think
I would
it's
think
gonna
you
like
probably would, considering
Yeah,
how much you
yeah.
fit with your clothes.
right, yeah.
A cat would not have twine. What?
Embers just bats it around the room when no one's looking.
Yeah, I'm gonna like hastily string some twine through this and like put it on. And then Embers is gonna like really also hastily like groom herself a little bit, like the way cats do, like lick her paw and then just like kind of rub it through her hair and just trying to like get herself looking slightly nicer before she runs back downstairs.
Okay. When you put it on and spend a little bit of time grooming yourself, it becomes clear to you, sort of as the symbol kind of rests against your fur. It has a little bit of a warmth to it, just like a natural warmth. And it's clear to you that this symbol has some sort of magic to it, actually. What that magic is exactly, you don't know.
Yeah. And I think I'm not even paying that much attention to it. I'm only wearing it because it's jewelry, and it's the only jewelry I have.
Okay, then yeah, Embers comes back down, fur a little bit smoother than usual. And you said she wears it around her neck?
Yeah.
This holy symbol of Pelor adorned around her neck as if it were jewelry. Let's see. I think Rook was next. What was Rook going to do again? Remind me.
I was just showing our new friends to the Silver
Oh,
Seekers
yeah.
table.
A couple seats. Molo comes running up with a couple extra chairs, just like dragging behind him. I got you some extra seats. There you go.
Thanks,
Like
Molo.
slides them under the table, and the table like shakes.
And
from
I
the
and
force of the
Rook will
chairs
kind of
slamming into it.
space them out properly and make sure they're okay for Squall and Braca. Be like, oh, here's your chairs.
Yeah, Squall basically pulls out the chairs for everyone else. So like he pulls out a chair for Rook to sit in, and then he pulls out a chair for Braca, and basically everyone who comes to the table, he like pulls out their chair, and then finally when no one else is like coming to the table, he sits down himself.
It's funny because
and
Rook
then
was gonna do that for him, so they're like sitting in each other's chairs, like after you, please.
When
like,
when Embers joins as well, he does try to like pull out a chair for her.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how she'd react to that.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful of you.
I'm just gonna roll an insight check real quick. He pulls out the chair that is right next to Braca.
Yes.
And he gives you a little bit of a eyebrow wiggle as well as he does. And then Elwyn went up to Nora to just sort of get food ordered. She is at the bar, and she says, "Oh, hello, Elwyn. Tonight I've got some trout in the works. I hope that's a good enough meal."
That sounds lovely. We have a couple guests at our table. I'm
I
happy to pay
noticed.
for their meal.
I've seen Braca around, and I assume that Dashing Gentleman must be her employer, Squall.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, we had some
heard
business
talk
with
about him,
him.
but he doesn't visit too frequently.
He's a fine, fine gentleman, if I do say so myself. Very charming.
He certainly looks the part. And she gives a little bit of a smile.
Well, if it slows down around here tonight, you're welcome to come over and say hi.
I just might at that. I'm always happy to meet, new patrons. I find that when I give them a friendly welcome, they're more likely to return. And she kind of gives you a little wink there.
Maybe you're a little bit too friendly for your own good, Nora.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Do you think we could get a bottle of wine for the table?
Yeah, I'll see what I have. I'll try and bring out something nice.
Thank you.
And she goes back into the back room and presumably down to the cellar.
Okay, then I will go to the table and curtsy at Squall if he pulls out my chair.
He
Before
does.
sitting.
Yep. He stands up, pulls out your chair for you.
Well,
Sits
thank
back
you,
down.
sir.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Quite welcome. And when Nora begins to bring out food and set, the fish down on everyone's plates, he's very gracious about like thanking her for the meal and, all of that. They have a kind of a polite and friendly, oh, hi, I'm Nora, oh, I'm Squall, pleased to meet you, charmed, I'm sure, sort of conversation.
Right.
Braca stays quiet through most of this, but eventually you're all left alone with your meals on the table, with the time and ability to chat amongst yourselves.
And Tuppence finishes real quick because she's little, and she sits at the table with her head in her hands, just staring at Squall with her head slightly tilted.
So
what was in that coffee he served us?
what was it? I don't know. It left you all thirstier than expected, I think. He looks around the table and says, "So, I believe I was promised a tale of how you were able to, for the most part, complete your assignment."
This is a very good storyteller.
Tuppence is a very good storyteller.
Tuppence
Take the
is-
floor.
Oh,
It's your whole job. Haven't you written a song about it yet?
oh, that's what I was thinking in my head.
Isn't that what we hired you for? Just kidding. Certainly it's not your brawn.
You might have another go. Come on.
I'm thinking about it.
Oh, have the two of you done some sort of contest of strength in the past?
Well,
Now that is
I
something I
wanted
would
to
care to see.
I wanted to invite Tuppence to join our little group, when we had our first job way back. And Rook wasn't so sure. He thought, well, scrawny little thing like that, she'd get squashed like a bug. But she had gumption.
There's muscles hidden somewhere in this pixie.
She challenged Rook to an arm wrestling match, and he has never been able to live it down since. I mean, imagine Rook losing to a pixie.
Squall just kind of like raises his eyebrows with like a little bit of a chuckle at that, but Braca like bursts out laughing. Like it's the funniest thing she's heard.
Rook just kind of
she just
folds
says,
his arms and looks away.
She looks at Rook and says, You lost to a pixie in an arm wrestling competition?"
You can see like his face sort of reddening a little bit. Like he's just, you can see the truth written all over him. He's just like shakes his head like, God.
When Rook's face turns red, does Rook's like face turn red?
No, I think it's just like he like blushes, like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the point is like, does the blush show even in your disguise?
Why wouldn't it?
I did write a little ditty about that experience if you'd like to hear it.
Certainly, of course. If you think that's the best vessel for this story.
3 new friends in a bar were listening to a star when Elwyn was taken aback. She asked the bard to unite, but Rook thought she wasn't right. How could a wee fairy attack? Tiny Tuppence stood her ground, then she turned right around, suggesting she's none the meeker. Arm wrestling was the game. Rook turned out to be lame, and now the pixie's a silver seeker.
Hear, hear.
Squall claps. And Braca is just like smiling ear to ear. A good story. I like it.
Well, one of many, I hope.
And so I take it this is how the group of you all came together. And then I know how you came to me, of course, through Malt, but what happened at the warehouse? That's what I'm most curious to hear.
Well, let's dive in to the story
Yes.
and we'll tell him.
Okay.
Unless you have something specific to say, Tuppence.
I was just gonna say that how we came in through the. We start with how we came in through the chimney, and then we can all go from there. Were we gonna mention the cobalt spot too, or keep that to ourselves?
Have
That might.
we
We haven't
told
discussed
you
that.
guys that?
Oh yeah. I think
You were
Oh, but I
mumbling
was
and I was
narrating
mention
it.
it to
You were
everyone.
narrating,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure
Um,
if Embers knows because you were busy, but I guess it's up to you.
Yeah, I think I know. I have a question about that occurred to me sometime in last week. Is all of this happening the same day as the morning that Rook reviewed Torrent's memory?
That was in the morning, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So Torrent went through that whole warehouse raid with like lipstick eyebrows drawn on him.
Well, I mean, he probably saw his face at some point, right? Or not? I
no,
guess it's...
no, he
No?
didn't. Yep.
Oh,
Mhm.
shoot.
He went
Oh,
through
but
the entire.
I think
And
that
he also is
Molo
marching
told him that.
prisoners back to
Yeah.
the city.
Right, he's on his way back to the
Oh,
Warren.
man.
Yeah,
But didn't Molo tell him he had something on his face, or he had a new
Yeah,
look?
but he, like,
Molo
dismissed
made a
him.
comment, but yeah, I don't think
I
that
think
Torin
Torin
paid
was too
attention to
dense
it.
to pick it up.
I think Torrin was
I remember
like
correctly.
back away with you, Kobold, blah, 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 like, you know, when he walked by.
nice. I'd forgotten that was today.
Yep. So yeah, he totally
Yeah.
raided the warehouse with like his
A
crazy
disguise on.
makeup and
Yeah.
is probably at this very moment reporting to his commanding officer with it.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Good point.
I don't know if we
But
leave
yeah,
anything
so do you
big out.
mention the spy? Do you mention the journal?
I think, like, if we're all sort of just kind of filling in the blanks, we would probably just, like, sparsely say, oh, there was, like, a prisoner, and unless they're interested, he asks questions, I don't think we'd go further.
I
least
think
I
he's
wouldn't.
probably mostly interested in the story of how we found his briefcase. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably what we focus on is like we
Right.
infiltrated the warehouse, we fought these things. There was a dragon with all these mage hand things. It was creepy.
Swobold.
And your briefcase was there. So rounded up a bunch of
Cultist.
cronies, cultists.
But the two
sent them-
missing canisters. That is a problem, but well, I know you mentioned that you had some ideas for how to pursue that, and that is your area of expertise. So I'll leave that to you. Of course, I'm not too picky about the methods you must employ, but I do hope you're able to recover those. However, whether or not, I think you've certainly done enough to warrant the payment we discussed, and well, as you mentioned previously, it does seem like this job is a bit more dangerous than anticipated. I had no idea you'd get entangled with an organization so terrible as the Dragontooth Brotherhood. I had no idea. And for my part, I apologize for getting you wrapped up in that.
I have a question, Squall. We're not done dealing with the Brotherhood, and I think that it's likely that those canisters might come out to bite us. I don't know if we'll get to recover them before they're used against us. Can you tell us what we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, he kind of gives he nods slowly and then kind of leans in a little bit, lowering his voice. Well, do any of you know much about the practices that were put in place when the Empire overthrew the dragons and bent them to its will?
Do I know?
Well, you could roll a history check, which you're
I
now proficient
I
in.
am proficient in this. I shall.
Ooh, Ember's got a good score.
I'm gonna give myself guidance too.
Munchkin.
I got a dirty 20.
I got a 24.
Okay.
Shoot.
11 for me.
Yeah, so Elwyn probably is not so sure. Embers
No.
and Rook might have some idea. What about Tuppence?
13.
Yeah, so Tuppence, again, it'd be kind of not really your area of expertise since you kind of just arrived in this plane recently. But Embers and Rook would know two things, or would know the same things, but the way you know the information is a little bit different. You would know that one of the means by which the Draco Spears, which is the organization within the Empire that kind of handles the dragons and has done so since the dragons fell. One of the means they use to sort of control the dragons is that they extract the dragon's breath from the dragon. There's actually like a special organ in the dragons that produces the breath. And so they're able to extract that. And it can then be injected back in when the Draco Spear wants the dragon to use their breath weapon. And there have been cases of, individuals injecting themselves with it, but that can go horribly wrong. And that's the sort of thing that you know. Embers, you'd know this from reading history books and things like that during your time in prison. But Rook, when you start thinking about it, that voice creeps back in your head and it informs you of this. It says, well, for many years, the Draco Spears have extracted breath from the dragons and stored it in vials and containers, and it can be re-injected into the necks of the dragons when necessary. A brutal practice from the perspective of the dragons, if I do say so myself.
And I think Ember's like just kind of nods and says, so not likely to be used against us then.
Squall kind of nods and says, well, it will certainly depend on who and what you're coming up against. The Dragontooth Brotherhood, as far as I know, well, they're a bunch of dragon-worshipping fanatics, but as far as I know, there's no dragons outside of the Stratian Empire's control.
Thank you for your honesty. We won't tell anybody.
That said, if it does end up getting used against you, this particular shipment of dragon's breath was, well, it was the breath of a young red dragon, so it would be quite painful to be on the receiving end of that. So I will say, just take care. And he kind of gives you a concerned look.
Were all the canisters the same? Sorry, were they different colors or like?
No, it was like, so there were metallic spheres, 6 of them nestled into this sort of like foam within a case. And all of the spheres looked pretty identical, but 2 of them were open.
Right.
Or were missing, rather.
So on that assumption, we can assume they were all of the same potency or from the same source.
Or at least they weren't marked.
Okay.
But yeah, according to Squall, this case contained the breath of a young red dragon.
I see.
So the only uses for this thing are on dragons. There's no other, they can't be used as like explosives or poisonous fog or...
Well, an accomplished alchemist perhaps might be able to make some use of them. or someone with a particularly high fortitude, perhaps, when injected into, say, your average ordinary person on the street, I would say the results are likely to be disastrous. But there have been cases where, when injected into an individual with a stout constitution, they've been able to, well, regurgitate the breath with minimal side effects. And he smiles a bit there, but then goes on. But even so, these minimal side effects, when it comes to dragon breath, minimal is, well, it's relative. It's certainly a dangerous thing to attempt. There's also been, as far as I'm aware, some success injecting it into wyverns, but again, most wyverns are under imperial control, as far as I know. Either that or they're wild. And he laughs. Who's going out and domesticating wyverns? What kind of fool does that?
Who's going out and smuggling a bunch of strange creatures into a city to create a distraction?
A fair point.
Somewhere in another dimension, the the Exandria party feels very called out by this comment.
Tuppence says, "I'm sorry, I'm kind of new here. What's a wyvern?"
And then Braca, like as Squall is trying to think of how to explain it, Braca just chimes in and says, "It's like a smaller dragon with a stinger."
Like malt?
And she looks up and notices Malt for the first time. Bit bigger.
Okay. Thanks.
And she actually kind of doesn't really take her eyes off Malt for a little bit. She just kind of stares up at him. I see this tavern has a patron Drake. How quaint. Squall kind of gives Malt a little look as well. And having now been noticed by pretty much everyone, Malt begins to lumber off elsewhere in the tavern.
Tuppence giveth and tuppence taketh away.
Well, actually, I probably would have said that in an aside to whoever I'm sitting next to, but that's okay. I didn't really want to give up malt.
It's not a big table, so it's pretty likely you'll get overheard. But yeah, everyone seems to enjoy the fish that was served. It's very well cooked. And
I
there's
would like to be asking Squall questions about himself as we eat. As the conversation drifts into or away from the serious stuff,
Mhm.
I will just lift my wine glass and look at Squall and say, "So how long have you been in Port Horizon, Shroud? Squall, have you always had your little auction house?"
Oh, I've been here for quite some time. I do travel now and again for business throughout the Empire, but Horizon Shroud is home. In fact, I met Braca on one of those business trips, if I recall, and Braca kind of chimes in and says, "Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, you were in a pretty big spot of trouble until I came along." True enough, that I was. But you certainly proved your worth, and you've proved it ever since. Best hire I ever made. And he kind of raises a glass. And Braca just says, like, "Damn right."
And where are you from originally, Braca?
Oh, I need to look at my map of the Empire really quick. Hold on.
I did it. I made the DM look at his notes.
Boop, boop. Looking at the map. There we go.
The boop boop was the loading noise for the DM.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, my computer takes forever opening these map images, so it just, hold on. Okay, there we go. Right. Well, I'm from Vidun, believe it or not. It's been a bit of a strange couple of years. Of course, I've been living here in Horizon Shroud for a while now, so the Empire's more home than Vidun was, but still, it's strange to have your home not be part of the Empire and then be part of the Empire.
I apologize. I'm still getting used to the geography here. I'm not from here either, you see. Is that nearby Vidun?
It's the state north of Vogma. You've probably heard of Vogma at least.
Have I heard of Ogma?
Roll a history check.
Not bad. That's a 17.
You have, in fact, because of the 3 states that the Empire absorbed, Vogma was the most important. In that Vidun, Vogma and Ardalier were all independent states, but Vidun and Ardalier kind of owed their independence to Vogma because Vogma was a significant power. There was a lot of magical research and things like that congregated there. And so they kind of protected Vidun and Ardalier from imperial advances. As you said, you rolled a 17?
Yeah.
As you've heard it, it was only when Vogma fell that Vidun and Ardalier also succumbed to the Empire.
Okay. As far as placement on the map.
Yes, it is. So Sergil is the very bottom state, and then Ardalier is kind of north in the middle of the continent. Vogma is north on the west side of the continent. Yep, and then Vidun is above Vogma.
Okay. 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 Right. Well, that sounds. Is it a lovely place, Vidun? What's it like there?
There's lots of lakes and things like that in the middle. I'm from a fishing town. Some forests, some grassy plains. Pretty nice place.
I like
Warmer than
fish.
here.
I was gonna say, I kind of elbow Embers. Did you hear that? She likes fish and Embers.
What's your favorite fish?
She, kind of like shrugs a little bit. Salmon? Salmon's pretty good.
I like salmon.
Cool.
Smoked salmon's good.
Yeah, I mean, the trout tonight was good too, but salmon would have been better, I think. Can always go for some salmon.
Trout was
She's
fried.
just nodding.
I'm just watching this exchange with this very happy smile on my face as I'm sipping my wine.
Fried fish, not my favorite, but it was okay.
Yeah, smoked, grilled, that's better.
Yeah.
Still good though.
It's all right.
Well, I thought it was just lovely. We don't get trout like this much back home.
So Squall, what other places do you travel to?
Oh, I've been all over the Empire. Never been to Elnord actually. I've been as far as Rubrun, but I've never had occasion to visit Elnord personally. I've got to admit, I least like traveling over to Daegu. All of the swamps and bogs can be a bit irksome. I much prefer the open plains of Ardalier or the forests of Nearus. Much more quaint and charming. If I had to pick one.
You'd have loved Silent Run then. It was beautiful.
Is that where you're from?
Yes.
I'd love to hear about it. We don't see many fairies around here.
It's, my village was very beautiful and lovely and magical, but it is no more.
A very sad look kind of crosses his face. Very sympathetic, and he says, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
As far as I know, I'm the only survivor. So one of these days, we'll try to figure out what happened, but I'm still in a little bit of shock.
That's terrible. I'm
I
very
reached
sorry
over
to
and-
hear that."
I reach over and just kind of put a finger on Tuppenz's back.
Well, you know, it's part of history now. We just have to move on.
Baraka says, "My parents are dead too. It happens."
Yeah, it's tragedy. Still gives you nightmares. I do.
She just kind of nods.
But friends help a lot, don't they? I'm very appreciative of mine.
Yes,
Fly over
yes.
and
Friendship
sit
is
on-
certainly one of the great remedies of the world.
Fly
Certainly.
over and get on Ember's shoulder again.
And yeah, I think
Fiddling- fiddling with her new necklace. Wow.
there's probably a little bit of an awkward silence after that before sort of more upbeat and jovial conversation continues. Squall asks a lot of questions about like Elwyn and where she's from, since she's showing so much interest in him.
Did he ever mention where he was from? He just said like he calls this place home and he travels a lot, but did he tell us where he was from originally?
I don't think he did say. No.
I would ask.
Well, you've probably never heard of it.
Well, I've never heard of a lot of places. That doesn't mean you can't tell me.
It's just a small village, not too far from here. You wouldn't believe it to look at me now, but I was once a small town country boy.
Can I roll an insight check?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
That's not very good. That's a 7.
A 7?
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he seems to be making a joke at like, how far he's come and all of that, but it's hard to glean anything off of that because he's just got this jovial demeanor about him at the moment.
Okay. I won't push it. And yeah, I mean, if he asks about where I'm from, I would say, well, my hometown is known as the Oasis. Outside of it, a little place south of here in Iend. Is that right? Iend?
Mm-hmm.
Iend.
Well, I can't say I've ever heard of the Oasis, but
Not many
I
people have.
travel to Iend on occasion. Perhaps I'll find an opportunity to visit this oasis.
Well, you might have a little bit of trouble finding it, unless you really needed to find it. Yeah, it's called the Oasis for a reason. It's protected by some magic, so only people who truly need shelter, who are truly in trouble, lost out in the Arctic, can find salvation there. At least that's what they say.
Well, now I'm
I've never
all the
had
more
any trouble.
intrigued.
I've never had any trouble finding it, but
Perhaps I'll have to find myself in some trouble so that I can locate this oasis. And he gives you a kind of a flirty smile.
it's a beautiful city, though, once you go in. All of the buildings look like they were made from ice. Gorgeous and translucent and blue and crystalline, and it's gorgeous. All
I
the
can
people
hardly
really lovely,
imagine.
too. Mostly elves live there, but we're starting to see some other races coming in.
I will confess, when I first saw you, Lady Elwyn, I had assumed that you'd be from, near Amberhearth. I was a little surprised to hear that you hadn't heard of Amberhearth when I mentioned the deed.
Well, no, I've never really traveled outside of my hometown until recently. It's my first time in the Empire. I admit I haven't really learned anything about it until the last few months.
Well, it's just that I just don't meet many elves. I've met many elves, but very few of your particular complexion. And I've heard that a great number of them are gathered around Amberhearth. Now, they tend to stick to, caves and underground areas around there. So I've never really met any in my travels up that direction. But it's just what I've heard.
Hmm.
You hear a thing
that is
traveling
interesting.
around.
Well, sounds like we have at least one reason to go up there eventually anyway, so.
Maybe some cousins or something. Or...
Not all of us elves are related to each other, you know.
Amberhearth is certainly a far cry from Iron, so that seems quite unlikely.
Still, it might be interesting to go check it out. See how people live in other parts of the world. That's the whole reason I'm here, after all.
Well, it's a beautiful location, certainly worth visiting. And I
Well,
do think you'll be impressed with the keep. I do think so.
It's a very generous offer, like I said. I think we have a little business to finish here first, but I wouldn't be opposed to going up and checking it out.
Love that idea. I can't wait.
So dinner starts to wind down. People start to get a little bit tired as it gets later in the evening. And yeah, at one point, it gets to a point where it looks like Squall and Braca are going to probably take their leave for the night.
I think like Embers just like blurts out to Braca, that's a really nice suit that you're wearing. I like your clothes. They look tailored. They're well made.
Braca looks at you, gives you a little bit of a nod, and says, "Yeah, they are tailored. Squall takes care of all of that. He knows a bit more about clothes than I do."
Oh yeah, so Squall's your tailor then?
Well, no, but I mean, he goes shopping and I accompany him, and he sees things that he thinks, would look good or professional, and so I buy those, and then he knows tailors and people, so he helps me get them fitted. It's really not my wheelhouse, but I'm happy that you like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're nice.
I like your necklace.
Thanks. Just got it.
It looks old in like a good way.
It might be.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I come by here every now and again. It's a good place to drink, as good a place as any. So if you're going to be staying here, maybe I'll see you around.
Listen, Braca, I used to be so much better at this before prison.
You
I
don't
know-
seem to get like much of a reaction out of that from Braca.
I know
He's
I'm
kind
a
of
little
stoic
bit
about it.
shabby looking and I don't have a fixed address, but I keep myself pretty clean and I'm free of disease. What do you say?
I think you were asking me on a date.
Yeah.
I keep myself pretty clean and I'm free of disease too. So I say, let's do this thing.
All right, great. I have to read tonight. So not tonight, but sometime soon.
Cool. I'll come by and we'll talk about it.
All right, great.
See ya. She just turns around. Squall's waiting for her by the door and they walk out.
That's incredible.
I'm free of disease, Nick.
I told you it was going to be the most pathetic pickup line you'd ever heard in your life.
Oh man.
Tuppence starts hearing the hesitation and she kind of flies off a little bit at a time. Give him a little privacy.
Oh man, no. After Braca leaves, Elwyn will come up and grab Embers' arm and hug it and be like, "You did it! Good job! Come on, let's get you upstairs."
Yeah.
So I will escort Embers up to our room.
Okay. Tuppence, can you make a perception check while you're still in the tap room area?
That's, let's see, 18 plus 1.
You notice Rook really trying not to laugh hard.
So 19, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the tavern has cleared out quite a bit, but there's still a number of groups here kind of sitting and lingering over drinks and things like that. But there's also a group in the corner of, it looks like a bunch of teenagers, a variety of different types of kids. There's some dwarves, there's some humans, there's a dragonborn or two. But they're all hanging out in the corner and they're watching Tuppence. They've been watching her actually. Now that you think about it, they've been kind of in that corner most of the night. Now that you kind of reflect on it, they probably have been watching you quite a bit throughout.
Okay. So noticing this, Tuppence will go fly over there. Hi guys. What's up?
Ah! She came and talked to us. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And one of them, a girl dwarf, in the corner, kind of speaks up, and she says, "Hi. We've been here a couple times. When you played shows. We're fans. You're just so great. We love you, Tuppence."
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I'm sorry I didn't perform tonight. It was a really, really long day. But you know, I have a little something. If you don't mind that I don't sing, I'll be happy to play you a little bit. No
Oh.
charge.
Just for us? I mean,
Yeah,
there's not many
sure.
people here. You probably won't get many tips or anything.
Nope, it's just for you, just real quick, because you're so sweet.
They're all like just so excited about that. Yes, please, 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 please.
So instead of the lute that I normally play, I'm going to get out my mom's pan flute and play a little bit for them.
Okay. As you pull out the pan flute and sort of bring it to your mouth, you hear by your ear that sound of beating pixie wings. And then it's immediately followed by a note. Just a single note. A whistling flute, pan flute note.
Okay, so that'll give me pause for a moment, but then I cheer up and play a nice little ditty for them.
Okay. Can you make a charisma saving throw for me?
What is happening?
I'm good at charisma. That is a 15.
15. Let me see if that does it. Okay. As you begin to play, you feel something. A presence, more of a warmth, really. It's a feeling of belonging and connection that you associate with home. And as you begin to play, you hear more of those notes in your ear, trying to guide the song that you play. Do you lean into it?
Yes.
Or do you continue playing your own song?
Since I'm used to being in a band and following what everybody else does, yeah, it's easy for me to be guided by it.
You start to play along with this ethereal, spectral pan flute sound that is playing in your mind. And as you do so, the song itself begins to grow sort of louder within your mind. It begins to crescendo and gain in sort of intensity, and it's as if a performer is gaining more and more confidence, and you begin to hit the notes alongside it. Can you make a performance check?
That's 16.
16. As this song plays, you begin to feel something that you haven't felt in a long time. And it's something that you didn't even realize you were missing. It's a connection to the Feywild, your home. And as you feel it, it suddenly puts into perspective everything that you've been missing since you arrived in this plane. When you first got here, everything was so new and exciting and big compared to your home. But it's only when you start to feel this connection to the plane that you're from that you realize just how little magic this place has compared to your home. You grew up suffused by magic. Magic was everywhere and in everything. And coming here, that just isn't the case. And it envelops you again in sort of a warm and comforting sense as you play along this song with the pan flute that sounds in your mind. And as you are doing this, you hear the group of teenagers go, "Whoa, look at those sparkles." And you realize that all around you, iridescent sparkles are starting to float in the air. "Ah, this is incredible!" The teenagers are just freaking out as you're putting on this show. And as the song kind of comes to a close, something you notice is the song that you just played, it doesn't feel complete. It comes to an end, but it doesn't feel like that's the end of the song, if that makes any sense. And you feel that sort of connection to the Feywild fade a little bit. Yeah, but the sort of feeling of warmth lingers.
Well, thank you guys. I'm really tired, but I really, really appreciate you. And that was so much fun. And oh my gosh, the sparkles. That's one of my favorite songs. I'd forgotten. I'm glad it came back to me.
Yeah, all of them. So they were excited to see you play before, but after this performance, they are completely enraptured by you. As if you have just played, shoot, what is your level 3 feature called? Enthralling performance or something like that? As if you've just played the most enthralling performance of your life. Their eyes are just wide with awe. That was so good! You're amazing! We're going to have to come back and watch you play again.
Well, Nora will be absolutely happy to hear that. And thank you. And I really got to go. Good night, everybody. She's emotional and she doesn't want to show it. So she's going to duck out and head upstairs.
Yeah, they instantly like put their heads together and you can hear them whispering like, "Oh my gosh, she came and gave us a private concert. Tuppence!" They're just in love with you. So.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yep. So then Tuppence goes upstairs.
So that just happened. Rush up to tell
before
Ellen.
In the meantime, while you're doing that, I bring Embers up to our room. Did Rook stay downstairs for a while?
Yeah, Rook is like drinking a little bit more, and then he also probably looked over and watched Tuppence's performance with them. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So, hold on, Kay, just a second. Let me tell Rook what he sees then.
Okay.
Because he witnessed Tuppence's performance, which is something that Tuppence can't do because she was giving the performance. As she started to play this song, you watched as if strands of magic were beginning to like form around her, in the form of these sort of iridescent, shining sparkles that just kind of glittered constantly around her form. But also, for a brief moment, she took on a different appearance. She still looked like Tuppence, but hold on, I have
Like
something.
same form factor, but or
Yeah, she still looked like Tuppence, but her hair took on kind of like a fiery red color with like an orange streak in it, and there was her eyes became this bright orange, and her wings also gained this red and orange accent to them, but just for
Huh.
like a brief second during her performance, and then it was gone.
So I think as Tuppence like flies past Rook, he's like, Tuppence, like we should, and then like, tries to like catch her when she's like, vroom. He's like, oh, I'll talk to her later. And he keeps kind of drinking a little bit and thinking and finishing his what he's drinking. So interesting though.
Okay, so sorry, Kay, I interrupted, but
No, that's fine. It was a continuation of the scene. Yeah, so while that's happening, Elwyn and Embers go upstairs, and Elwyn's like, that was very exciting. I'm very proud of you. How do you feel? Are you nervous? Are you relieved? Do you feel like you're gonna throw up? Because sometimes that happens to me.
All
Am
those
I-
things are true.
Do I need to get you a basin?
No, I'm gonna be all right.
Maybe some fresh air. I can open the window.
That would be nice. Thank you.
I'll go over and open the window. Say, you and Braca, huh? Braca is a very impressive individual.
She's very tall.
Very tall. Yes, indeed. Especially to me. I'll go and I'll sit on the floor next to Embers, like a sleepover party or something. And how long has it been since you've seen someone like this?
Well,
You seem a little bit rusty. Not that
Yes.
I'm judging.
it's been 20 years and 7 months.
Goodness. Do you have much experience in this area?
Like Embers like starts to brag a little bit and then like catches herself because she's remembering other things that happened around that. And it's like a little bit, quite some.
Oh. Well, go on.
Do you want to know the details of my love life from 20
Well,
years
I mean,
ago?
yes, I do. If you're willing to share. I don't mean to pry, but come on, isn't this how girls bond with each other?
Mhm.
I can have Nora bring us up another bottle of wine.
I'm very touched that you want to know about this, Ellen, but I'm not too proud of some of what happened back then, and I do want to read my book.
Well, I understand. I will just say I'm very happy for you. And if you need any tips or tricks or anyone to go shopping with, or if you want me to do your hair, I am your girl. Although I think Tuppence will probably want to help with the hair part.
Is there something wrong with my hair?
No, but if you, I see that you gave yourself a little bit of a
It's gotten so
pruning
long.
before you
Is
came
it,
downstairs.
is it too long?
No. I love your hair, Embers. I just thought, if you wanted to do something special for your date, I wiggle my eyebrows at her. I'm here for you. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I'll remember that.
All right. I'll leave you alone. Can I get you anything? A cup of tea or some hot milk?
Bring me up the rest of that wine.
All right. And I will go back downstairs.
And Embers is going to settle in with her book. And I have no idea how like concentrated she's able to be on it.
It's a little bit tough to dig into in the beginning.
Mhm.
in your current mental state. But it's really interesting. So I think like it takes a little while for you to get focused on it, but once you start reading, I think it probably pulls your attention in a good way, so that you're able to focus on it a little bit more. The intro is kind of a dense thesis almost, but once you realize what it's talking about, it's really easy to kind of follow the train of thought. And basically, it's drawing a connection between the energies of life and light, citing examples like how plants draw their energy from the sun and use that to grow, and flourish and live, and then other creatures come along and eat the plants and do the same thing, drawing their life from the plants, and then humanoids come along and they eat those creatures, and further continuing the cycle of life, and then they end up growing into plants, which once again feed from the sun, and how it's all connected back to life and light. And so that's one of the core premises. And then it goes on to make connections to the previous book, the Martial Arts Primer, which you've read cover to cover many times. So this is where it gets easier for you to focus, because it's making connections to familiar material. And it talks about how something you already knew, that living beings have this life energy within them that you can manipulate if you have enough control and discipline over your body. And then finally, it posits that it would be possible then, if life and light energies are so connected, to exchange the two. And then once this thesis section is out of the way, it begins to delve into like more practical martial arts forms, and exercises to sort of draw out that life energy, and eventually, as the forms get more advanced down the line, convert it into light. And then how to apply that practically in a fighting style.
Okay. Yeah, I think that.
Fighting.
Yeah, I think like Embers has so much nervous energy that once she finishes this passage, she's gonna like go out the window and like climb her way up to the roof, and just like start practicing on the roof.
Such a nice picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
it
like
is.
with the book open at her feet, just like looking down every now and then to make sure she's got it right, and then trying the form a few times.
The windmill sails turning slowly in the background as the moon kind of comes up. Make a wisdom check.
Okay. Not the best, but not the worst. Say dirty 10.
30-10. Yeah, I think once you start putting the practical forms into place,
Mhm.
it all starts to come together a little bit more. It's slow work, but it begins to come together, and sort of by the end of the night, you've gotten to a place where you can concentrate the life energy within yourself and create a little bit of a glow from your palm. The other thing is that as you're doing this, that warmth from the holy symbol you continue to feel that on the top of your chest. And as you spend time, reading this book, practicing the forms, you feel yourself, you feel the magic within the item reaching out towards you and trying to forge a connection with you. And you can attune to it if you like.
Yeah. Seems like a good opportunity to do that.
When you attune to it, or when you allow yourself to connect to the energies of this item, you feel just like a robust wave of energy fill you, vitalizing you and energizing you. And when you let that happen, the glow in your palm increases. It just burns brighter, to the point that you are a beacon in the middle of this dark night. You can attune to, you should be able to find it. Let me just find the item name. So it's a minor amulet of health.
Got it.
That's so cool.
I am attuned to it now. Cool. Oh, wow. Oh, man. This is so good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's Maramus. He
helping
has your
you-
back. So
Helping you in an area that you are not very good at, I
Yes.
assume.
Yes. Helping me in a thing I needed help with.
yeah, and so basically it just like bolsters your life force, and so as you feel that connection, that translates to the light that you're trying to produce, and it just up into the night sky. You create this
no.
beam.
The last time it
that
happened
the
to my character,
technical-
it was really bad.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
No, but yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Is anyone
The
else doing
technical term.
anything tonight?
Oh. Yes.
Yes.
So I go downstairs and I find Tess, and
Mhm.
I send Tess upstairs with a bottle of wine for Embers. And then I look around and I assume Rook is still down there.
Yep.
So I'll go and I'll sit with Rook at the table, and I'll check to see if there's anything left in the bottle that he's drinking from.
Yeah, he shares the rest of it with
Help
Elwyn.
myself.
He pours her a glass. Welcome back.
I would like to roll an insight check on you, Rook, as I walk up
Okay.
to get a read.
You tell him
Kinda
that?
seems-
I mean, you can tell him that if you want.
Zach, it kind of seems like there was something in the conversation earlier that she might have picked up on. If you want to maybe give her those details based on the roll.
Okay.
I missed my tower. Oh, it's so good. It's a dirty 20.
Hey.
And
Yeah.
am I deceiving you? Like, I'm not really sure what you're
No,
inciting yet.
No. I have more information about you that I've learned in the past 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
You've opened up to me about stuff, like you told me people were following us. You got this mysterious package. I saw that you had like a strand of white hair when you were sleeping, and you
Mhm.
had a nightmare last night, So as I'm walking up and I see you sitting there by yourself, I just want to get a read on your mood. Like, do you seem like you're super lost in thought? Do you seem like something's really distracting you or bothering you? Have I picked up anything in your body language that could clue me into like, hey, something else is going on? What are you willing to give me?
So when you're like approaching Rook and he's like kind of slowly drinking the wine, you see that he is sort of lost in thought. If when everyone else was done, I was going to say that Rook was, after watching Toughness's performance and maybe a little bit here and there, he was trying to communicate with that scary person, scary dream person. So yeah, I think you kind of catch him sort of thinking to that person, trying to communicate. And so you see him sort of like doing a little bit of nods with his head. It's like, as he's definitely either deeply thinking about something, or there is something on his mind, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. When
Well,
kind of
if you're having a
mental
conversation with that person, you do that first,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
I will
what do
come
you-
in after
What do you
that.
think when you try and reach out to this entity?
Rook is, I think he just like, he thinks, hey, I need help with something. Are you there? Voice in my head.
There's a period of silence.
Okay.
And then, what is it that you need help with now, Vertinor?
I need to know more about you before I can trust you. If you really are looking out for me.
All you need to know about me is that our interests are intrinsically linked for the moment.
How did you get here?
You know how I got here, Vertinor. I've been here for some time.
Dang it! I do know how he got there. I was really hoping it wasn't that. Okay. Dang it!
I've just had no reason to manifest before now.
Oh! Okay. So, yeah, I think.
Would you like to
I
share
do
what
know how I
happened?
got there.
Dang it. I think so that's me reacting, but like cuz I know obviously, but
Mhm.
I think Rook kind of just he probably just takes in like a deep breath and he comes to the realization that like he's like he probably just says dang it like out loud quietly like just like oh shoot.
Precisely, Vertinor. That day in the lab.
Yep.
You know the one.
I know what you're talking about. So he just kind of like sits and thinks of the past and considers his actions. And then he, once he has like a moment to sort of go through these thought processes and, you know, he says, or he thinks, you said for the moment though, like what's your goal now? Now that we are in this.
I want what you want. I want them to burn for what they did.
Why does that?
They were my enemies long before they were yours.
I see. Can I roll insight on this scary man?
Yeah, absolutely. It
All
might
right.
be difficult because it's a voice in your head. But what are you trying to find out?
I
Not a
rolled a
lot of
natural one, it doesn't matter. Oh no.
Yeah, you're just overwhelmed by this whole
I
situation
think
right now.
now that he's come to this realization of like, oh shoot, like he's like he can't like he really wants to know this information, but like he just cannot get over some of these facts that are like being dropped on him. He's like, oh crap. I think I interrupted somebody. Sorry. What was that? Okay.
I was making a joke about how there's not any body language to go off of here.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll get back to that one when I'm less shocked. Okay. Well, I mean that kind of gives me what I'm thinking of.
So it's that moment, I guess, that Elwyn approaches you. That
Yeah.
Elwyn approaches. What do I see?
So I think like he is just totally lost in this conversation, and then so you probably startle him when you approach him, and he kind of like shakes and like looks at you, is like, oh. And then he like looks. You look at the wine. You might look at the wine. He might pour you a glass, and then it's like, you're back. Like,
Was it the kind of thing where I approach saying, Rook? Rook, and you don't hear me, or you
probably.
don't
Yeah, it
immediately
was probably like
respond?
he was probably just like kind of like rubbing his head and stuff, like just like maybe looking at the wall and just like really.
So I'll like touch your arm or something, and that's what shocks
Yeah,
you.
and so he gets and then so he gets shocked into like back to reality.
Oh, you're back. Are you all right?
Fine. I obviously.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you seem to have a lot on your mind today. And not just the stuff that's going on here.
I'm a thinker, Elwyn. I got a lot of stuff to think about.
Yeah, I can see that. If we don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring, if your head's not in the game, it could be dangerous.
And Rick kind of just like nods and is like, well, my head's been in a lot of other people's heads recently too, so you know it's maybe getting a little muddy, but I'm sure I'll be fine in the morning.
I kind of look at the bottle. How much of this have you been drinking here by yourself?
He looks at the bottle, kind of pushes the bottle behind something. Don't worry about that.
Look, I understand that everyone has their secrets, and I'm not going to push you, but I am worried. I can tell something's wrong.
Let's see. Rook kind of just sits there and kind of just like looks at Elwyn for a little bit and just kind of you can tell that like something's on his mind, like he wants to say something, but he just kind of like looks at you and then
I can see what you're thinking, Vertinor, and it's a bad idea.
yeah, and he doesn't say anything. But then he just says, like he just pauses and then just says, "Yeah,
It's all right. And I'll put my hand on his shoulder and I'll lean in and I'll give him a kiss on the cheek. And I'll get up and I'll take the bottle and go back upstairs.
And then he just kind of like, he kind of just like sits there for a little bit, folds his arms, and kind of just looks around, kind of just, you know, letting things kind of drain, I think.
I'll stop by the front bar to ask Nora if she's seen Tuppence.
She gave a performance to some teenagers who got really excited, and then I think she flew upstairs.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Nora. Hey, that trout was delicious.
Oh, thank you. I actually don't work with fish a lot, but I've been thinking about trying to get better at it. I mean, there's so much seafood here in Horizon Shroud. I
You
might as
should
well
look
try.
into getting some salmon. I hear that's pretty popular.
She nods. People do like a good salmon. I could give that a try. Thanks for the tip.
My pleasure. Good night, Nora.
Good night.
And I will take the bottle, go upstairs again.
She kind of goes over, Nora goes over to where Rook is, kind of wiping the counter as she goes. Rook, I know we don't know each other terribly well, and it's probably not my place, but you seem as if you've been a bit, I don't know, distracted since you got that package, and it's probably not important, but when I went out to the market this morning, I thought I saw that same person who delivered the package kind of watching the Millhouse, and I'm just curious, do I need to be concerned about anything?
I think Rook's face shifts from concerned to extremely interested during this explanation, and he says, "You saw this person? Wait, what were they? What do they look like?"
I mean, like I said before, I never really got a good look at the person. All I really saw was sort of long blonde hair, but I mean, they were wearing a hood, so the face was covered. I just saw another, and there's plenty of people who wear hoods and cloaks and things like that, especially, you know, I guess it wasn't really raining today, so maybe that is a bit odd. But
Were they wearing any armor or anything?
now that you mention it, yes, I think they had a breastplate
Is it okay?
of some sort. I'm not very in the know when it comes to armor and weapons and things like that, so I couldn't tell you for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. It really, it could have been anyone. I just thought maybe it was the same person.
Rook seems like he's contemplating, and then he looks at Nora and says, "I don't think you need to be concerned. I mean, it was a care package of sorts."
Okay, that's good. I mean, just based on how distracted you were, I was wondering if it was a bit more of an ominous delivery, but if it was just a care package, then I'm not concerned.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm mainly distracted over a lot of other things, and so I guess it's just coincidental. Sorry to worry you.
No, like I said, it's really none of my business. I just, I wanted to double check to be sure. And look, you and the rest of the Silva Seekers, you took care of the Doppelrat problem. I know you're capable, so. Well, my point is, I'm sure I was worrying for nothing, and I'm relieved to hear you say that.
I appreciate you worrying for us, and I think everything will be fine. Thanks for taking
Good
care
to
of us
know.
so far. We appreciate it.
I do hardly anything. I just put food on the table.
That's what we like, though.
And she kind of slides over like a bowl of peanuts towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Soak up the alcohol a little bit.
Thanks, Nora.
You'll feel better in the morning.
Yeah, he starts eating the peanuts at her request. He's like, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, and then she leaves you alone.
Okay.
However, Molo, totally not picking up on the mood, comes and sits on the bar, or sits on a bar stool next to you, grabs some peanuts from the bowl, just like throws them in his mouth without taking the shells off. So what you doing? Having a good night? It's pretty busy.
And Rook will like grab a small handful and like just push the bowl over towards him so he can take whatever he wants, and then kind of just eat out of his hand. And then says, "Yeah, just kind of letting everything kind of soak in. We've been pretty busy. What about you?"
Oh, it's different, being here. I kind of miss my den, but Tess keeps saying it's really dangerous out there right now and that I should stay here. So
It probably just for a few more days, Molo.
really, I'm just doing it to make her feel better. But I'm excited to go back home.
Yeah.
Also,
But you see the dragon around here, though, right?
yeah, it's true. And he kind of like looks around. Malt's already gone to bed, so he's nowhere to be seen. But Molo also says, and your friend Embers, she's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of scary,
Like intimidating?
But like in a cool way.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Do you think she'd teach me how to do that?
How to be like
cool, but also scary,
Rook kind of just sits and thinks for a second. Maybe, but maybe you should just watch and mimic that instead.
Well, to be honest, I tried that, but she wasn't doing anything cool or scary like at dinner, So I was watching, but
Maybe just keep watching then.
so you think I shouldn't ask her? Yeah, you're right. It's a bad idea. I'm not gonna talk to her about it.
Maybe I'll ask for you.
Okay. Yes, she might listen to you. I don't think she'd listen to me. Little kobold, little punk kobold.
But I mean, you did a good job, protecting our table, and so I mean that was kind
Yeah,
of.
he kind of puffs his chest out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure nobody sits in your spot.
Yeah. See, that's strong and like embers, and he kind of nods.
Yeah. With your promise to talk to Embers for him, he kind of like it looks like he's accomplished his goal. So he like takes another handful of peanuts, throws them in his mouth, and like
Okay.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now. I think it's getting
All
late.
right, good night.
Good night. And he marches upstairs.
Great. Rook also thinks to this entity, for the moment, I suppose, what can I call you?
You don't get a response to that.
All right, so you guys want to call you scary dream person, or he's thinking these weird, unflavorful names, or like, scary sounding person.
Yeah, the voice seems to have gone dormant for the moment. There's just no response.
All right.
What is Tuppence getting up to? We haven't heard from Tuppence in a while. After the performance.
Okay, so Tuppence would have flown up to the room, tired but puzzled and excited about what just happened during the performance.
Yeah, you'd see
And-
Tess leaving the room, having attempted to deliver a bottle of wine to Embers, who wasn't there because she's climbed up on the roof.
No, I think at this point in the night, Embers is still reading the book. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot to go over.
Right. Then yeah, Tess would have just delivered a bottle of wine to Embers and then sees you in
Yeah.
the.
So to pour a little bitty glass of wine to kind of help her sleep and get ready for bed. But she'll notice that Embers is studying and sees the pictures of kind of like the martial arts pictures. And she'll say to Embers, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at that. All I'm good at is martial arts. Have you seen my notebook? It's half filled with bard songs that I'm working on."
I like the one that you said to us, recited to us. That was a good one.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I have fun with them, but sometimes I get a bit stuck and I need a little nudge. I'm sure everybody goes through that.
Some kind
Me,
of
I think, more than
muse
others.
you're looking for?
That's the word.
Hmm.
I'm definitely not amused enough. So, how's it going, brave one?
It's going very well. Tonight was very successful. Today was very successful for all of us, don't you think?
I think so. A very banner day for the Silver Seekers. Oh, yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Me too.
Yeah, we clink. What do you think we should do next?
Well, I want to wrap up this business really quickly because I'm so excited about our keep. Aren't you?
I'm excited about a lot of things, Tuppence.
Yeah. Your upcoming kind of thingamajig, if you know what I mean.
Yes, that's one of them.
I'm glad I got to know all of you. I think I can take a little bit of influence from each of you. And tonight, not only for your bravery, but Elwyn has this way about her that can, well, I think she brings out the best in people, don't you?
Elwyn
wish I had-
sneezes downstairs.
I wish I had
7 times.
more of that quality.
So do I. So do I.
And your calm demeanor. I'm a bit flighty, wouldn't you say?
Do I seem calm to you?
Very.
Oh, wow.
Why do you think I'm always flying on your shoulder?
I thought it was because my shoulder is a very soft place to be.
Well, that too. That's a bonus, though. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. It's always nice to have a companion.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel. I'm glad you feel the same. Are you going to read a while more?
I might be up for quite some time, actually.
Okay. I'll go make a different place to curl up then, because I'm pretty pooped.
Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. You do you.
Sleep well, Tuppence.
Thanks. You too. Steady up.
So Tuppence goes to sleep, and probably around then, I guess, is when Embers would
Yeah.
crawl out the window.
Mhm.
A little while later, Elwyn comes up, and then finally, Rook. Is there anything else that the group of you would like to do with your evening?
Two
As you come into
things.
the room one by one, you just see Tuppence is snoozing.
If I come up there and I see that Tuppence is sleeping, I might find a little piece of blanket or something to like cover her with.
Mhm.
Like fold the blanket around so that she's covered by it wherever she is. And I think I would probably finish off the bottle of wine by myself, and I would sit on the windowsill and just look out at the sky and just think. Stay up.
As you look out at the sky, you can see a variety of you can see the lights begin to come on, or well, I guess they've been on for a while, but the electric lights in the city streets are kind of illuminating the city, and from this position you can actually see quite a distance these lights appearing. It's a clear night sky. It's tough to see too many of the stars because of the the electric lights in the streets. But the moon is bright, and it's a pretty night. You occasionally see like flashes of light coming from the top of the Millhouse, just these more golden in color lights than the moonlight. And as you're sitting there, you feel kind of like a chill by you. And you turn and you see, looking out the window with you, the masked lady with her porcelain mask decorated with moving flurries of snow. And she turns her golden eyes towards you and says, "You've had an eventful day."
Yeah. That I'm bushed, if I'm being honest. That was a lot.
Well, it's no wonder, I'd imagine.
I owe a lot to the group I'm with, Rook especially. I don't know what would have happened to me if he hadn't picked me up off the floor back there.
He has proven to be quite the reliable ally for you, hasn't he?
I know you told me that maybe I shouldn't trust him, but he hasn't done anything untrustworthy yet. I mean,
No, on the contrary, I think he's done quite a bit to prove himself. I don't rescind what I said. I believe he has secrets.
yeah, and I agree with you about that. No one wants to talk to me. This is so different from at home, like my little cousins will come with me every time they stub a toe or someone calls them a name at school. They come to me, they tell me everything. I don't know how to deal with this.
The world is a complicated place, and people have a lot of difficult problems that they often aren't, willing or ready to open up about. But the bonds that you're developing with these friends of yours, they're real and they're significant. And I think you just need to give it time.
Do you know anything about Amber Hearts?
It rings a bell. I think what that squall gentleman said is true. I think there are some drow that dwell beneath that city. I recall learning such a thing.
But I mean, what would Mother have to do there?
I can't say. But it's not as if we have any other leads at the moment, right? We came to the Empire knowing that she's somewhere here.
And she's not here in Port Horizon Shroud, so
And we can't stay in Horizon Shroud forever. We have to move on eventually.
the lead of the lead, I guess. And I am interested to meet people who aren't from Alvaria.
At the very least, that should be a learning experience.
It is very interesting here.
It will probably be the warmest place you've ever visited in your life, if I had to guess.
That's not really a high bar. Am I making the right choice?
In what?
Some part of me thinks I should just get on the next ship and head back home sometimes. I feel like a fool here sometimes. I'm no match for some of these people. And look at Empress, how big and strong she is, and she knows how to fight and protect herself. All I know is that the magic that my father taught me. And that's just plants and animals. And I don't want to hurt anybody. I didn't come here to fight.
I can help you build on that foundation, though. I understand not wanting to fight. I do. Sometimes it's necessary. And I think your friends will help you out when those situations arise. Another
like
benefit of those
this-
deepening bonds of yours.
This whole mess with this brotherhood, there's going to be some big danger, and a lot of people are going to be in trouble. I don't know what I can do. I'm just one person. I'm just one little elf girl, you know?
This is true, but does the situation improve without you? Imagine you get on a ship and you leave. Do the people fare any better?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, Torin and the wardens know about what's going on now, so they're meant to protect the people, right?
Yes. But there's limits to what they can do, just like there's limits to what you can do. There's no perfect answer, but I think when the time comes, Elwyn, you'll know what to do.
This isn't my country, you know? Should I even be meddling? I wonder about that too. But I just can't help myself, you know? These people need help. Someone's got to help them.
Exactly that, Elwyn, exactly that. You have a heart that wants to help people, even when maybe it's not your business. I think that's noble. And I think that means more than you think.
I just hope it doesn't get me into any more trouble than I'm already in.
She kind of shrugs and says, "It might, but if it does, I'll be here with you. And I think your friends will too. Whatever Rook might be hiding, I think that him and the others truly do care for you."
Well, I like them a lot too. I didn't have many friends back home, you know, so it's great fun. But I'm glad to have you with me.
Well, I'm glad to be with you. I know a thing or two about feeling isolated and alone. I get through it by finding beauty in the small things. I look out on the natural world and I see flurries of snowflakes drifting down slowly in a perfect dance beneath the moonlight, and that's my calm, that's my peace. And I think you just need to find yours.
The stars do look really pretty tonight. I look back out the window.
They certainly do. And there's another chill as flurries of snow drift past you out the window and up into the sky, and she vanishes.
I'll spend a little bit more time by the window and eventually go over and sit propped up against the pillows and enter into my trance.
I think embers might come down through the window like half an hour later. Would you notice that from your trance or not?
I mean, not if you were quiet. Like if you like fell onto the floor and knocked something over, I'd probably notice. But with as quiet as you are, probably not.
So
Okay.
Rook was gonna stay up for a little bit in the room, so he'd probably notice you coming through the window.
Oh, okay.
So I figured he would talk with Molo, and then that's about the same time Elwyn was talking with this person, and then
Mhm.
probably come up afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Rook.
Like looks at the window, like, oh, is this how you always come into the room? I didn't notice.
No, usually I take the stairs.
Okay, this is a special occasion?
Well, I was up on the roof, and I don't think that there are stairs up there.
I see. What's up on the roof? Is everything okay?
It's just open space.
And that's important?
Well, I'm trying out a few things.
Oh, okay. Do you have like the book with you or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so Rook kind of looks at the book like those things, like
Yeah, I think like when she says trying out a few things, she just
Okay.
kind of like holds up the book by way of explanation.
Oh, okay. Is that's something you just got? That's cool. That's very interesting.
It is. It is very interesting.
How'd that go? Did you make progress?
Yes, I'm learning things.
Good. Okay.
What you, I think she sees like Elwyn tranced and Tuppence asleep under the little tiny blanket and says, "You're still awake."
Yeah, and so you see on the little desk that's there, Rook has a bunch of paper sort of strewn about, and he also has
Mhm.
the serpent skin notebook there as well. And he kind of looks back when Embers looks at the desk that he's using and says, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get things on paper and kind of work through. I feel like this book still has some secrets that we can get information from, so I'm just trying to get that. And also, I have some of my own things I'm thinking of. And you can see sort of like some designs for some armor and stuff
Yeah.
on papers, some like measurements and stuff like that. And then there's like a liquid there on the desk as well, like a mercury colored liquid.
Yeah. Brooke, what are our next steps? What are we doing?
That's a good question. I think that's open for the group to discuss. Can I tell you something? My personal thoughts on this?
Of course.
I'm not sure we should get further involved. Members, it seems a little dangerous for us, and it's really not our place to protect the city. That we're not hired to do that. But at the same
Mm,
time, I know we know that there's some dangerous things happening, and maybe we should see it through. So I'm a bit torn myself.
I see what you mean,
I think
but
that if Torin comes to us and asks for us specifically, I'd feel more inclined, but I don't know. I feel like we're overstepping at this point. We've done as much as he's asked us to so far, and it's really up to them to protect everybody, don't you think? To
no,
police
I
this?
don't.
No?
I don't.
You think that we should help out since we're involved?
Brooke, remember that we were on this case to begin with because Torin came to us. And Torin came to us because he heard his own. And like Ember says, wardens with some difficulty.
Okay.
Aw.
He heard them talking about the shipment and hired us to find out what this shipment business was, but they're in on it, Rook. We can't trust the wardens to stop the Brotherhood.
That's a valid point that I overlooked. Um, no, I hear what you're saying. And I'm willing to come along. I just have a little bit of reservation with putting ourselves in this type of danger when we know what sort of dangers there are. You know, are we really equipped to
I
handle this? I think that finding the right people and trusting them with the information is noble enough.
Who are the right people if not us?
I mean, it sounds like the governor and her aide or spy person
She
might
might
be.
die if we don't do something. And then
Yeah,
where will and
right.
then we'll report Horizon Shad be.
I can't answer that, but I mean, a lot of times cities and people come and go before you want them to.
Ember's just like nods slowly at that, but is obviously not convinced and seems a little disappointed by this answer. If that's what you think.
Well, I mean, again, I'm I'm up for discussion on this. I think that I'm a little, as you can see, um, I'm a little split. I don't want us to be in danger, but I think that we have gone far enough that we want to see something through to make sure that everybody else in the city is safe as well. So,
I agree that we should put it up to the group.
hmm
Certainly, I don't trust my own sense of morality here.
Well, why don't we talk about it in the morning at least?
That sounds
With
good.
everybody when we're all rested and, you know, maybe Torn will come knocking on the door and we'll have our answer right there and, you know, be invigorated and ready to help out the city.
Embers nods and goes looking for a corner to curl up in.
Okay.
By the way, Tempest snores really loud for a time. It's like a whole hornet's nest over there in
Wow.
that
Just a
corner.
bunch of bees. If Elwyn's there, would you
Oh,
say
no.
help? I'm covered in bees.
Okay. So Rook is the last one up
hmm
into the night with a little lantern on the desk, I guess.
Yeah. So he wants to get more information out of the serpent skin notebook, and then he's also working, like I said, on like some designs, and then he's
How
also.
late do you stay up? Because my trance is only 4 hours long.
I mean, depending on how involved he gets into this, he might just lose track of time. So
The book and the project are both going to probably take a couple hours, so he's probably still awake.
yeah.
The question is, which do you want to tackle first?
I think he would tackle the design stuff first.
Okay. So when Elwyn awakes from her trance, what does she see as Rook has sort of finished that project and begun to move on to the next?
So there's two things that, well, she sees like sort of a small stack of loosely like just placed papers with the designs on it, and then she sees that he has the notebook open and he's like making notes and kind of thumbing through it and like scratching his head trying to like discover any other pieces of information. And then there's also just a sheet of blank paper that's just off in the corner, sort of out of place, with like a quill next to it. And then that's it.
So she doesn't see any evidence of your first project with the designs?
No, it's there. Yeah, it's just kind
Oh,
of
it's all the
just kind of
papers.
like
Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
the papers that are just kind of like stacked.
So you
loosely.
haven't done anything actually with the liquid.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess. I think he probably would have put it back. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Maybe he.
Save it
It'd
for
be
the
kind of.
morning. That's fair.
Well, it'd be kind of loud. I think is what his
That's
thoughts
true.
are. You know, having to like use tools. He's trying to
So
keep
you
things
get
kind
all
of
the
quiet.
designs worked out,
Yeah, he
but
does
you
all
don't
like
actually
the
do any of the
exactly.
tinkering.
Yeah, all the like thinking, and then he'll do the actual labor maybe tomorrow or in the morning.
Okay. So yeah, then you'd see Rook kind of pulling out the snakeskin notebook as well.
Okay. If that's the case, I will kind of look around a little, not so disoriented as like someone who actually sleeps, but a little bit of like that coming into consciousness fog where I kind of take stock of the room and what's happening. And I see that Rook's sitting there, and I'll get up and walk over and kind of put a hand on his shoulder as I look over at the desk and the things that are there, and I'll just say quietly, "You have you not slept?"
Were you trying to like sneak up on him or just kind of just
No, well, I approached quietly because people are
right?
sleeping.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so he doesn't
But
like
if you
startle or
want to
anything.
be so incredibly focused in your work that you get startled, that's up to you.
I think if you're not trying to like actually scare him, he probably just like shakes a little bit as it like jumps just ever so slightly and like wakes up, noticing there's someone else there.
Mm.
And then it says, "What time is it?" I don't. And he kind of like looks for like a clock. He pulls out like he actually pulls out like a pocket watch and looks at
I'll
that.
just reach and I'll take the journal from him and set it on the desk, closed. You need to get some rest.
Let
Rook,
me just finish.
This can
this.
wait.
No,
This can wait until tomorrow, Rook. Please.
I mean, I just want something to we can
Go
talk
to
about.
sleep. Go to sleep.
Just a
Just
little.
go to sleep. Please.
There was one other thing you wanted to do, but I don't know if we can fit it in before this conversation happens. But Rook will just kind of like reach for the notebook. Be like, I think I'm
I'll
onto
grab
something.
it and just hold it.
What if you? Can we just do it together then for a little bit?
I'll take a look at it while you're sleeping.
You
all
can't
right?
read it.
Well, you don't know that. Maybe some pictures or something.
He kind of folds his arms. He's like, okay, you read that page, and like read the page that I have the little marker in.
Go to sleep and I will read it to you in the
Think you
morning.
will.
Look,
But
please.
I mean, come
There's
on,
nothing in here that can't wait until tomorrow.
We're kind of just looks a little grumpy.
Well, no wonder it's late.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably like what, like 2 in
2
the
or
morning?
3 in the morning, maybe.
Yeah, 3 in the morning by
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, Rook's like, okay, fine.
Rook being sort of like an intelligent person, kind of now that you're thinking about it, if you stay up much later, you
You'd be
probably aren't going to
exhausted.
get enough sleep to, get a full rest. You'll probably wake up exhausted in the morning.
Okay, and so Rook kind of, I don't want to say like silently fumes for a minute, but he does look a little grumpy, and he's like, maybe you're right. And
I hope you don't have any nightmares tonight.
And he kind of like looks around. He's like, yeah, that would be. No one likes nightmares. But then he kind of like stands up, and then as he's walking by Ellen, kind of like squeezes her shoulder and says, "Thanks," and then goes and retires to his bed.
I will sit at the desk and I will thumb through the pages of the notebook and wait for him to fall asleep before I even think about leaving it.
Depending
the
on how much
notebook alone.
time he had, he was trying to like figure out if there's anything there and actually write it in like common.
Mm.
Anything he found.
You didn't
while
really
he-
have time
Okay.
beyond like doing your designs,
No
unfortunately.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe he just like started it by the time that Ellen got up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be like some
see if there are
notes in the
diagrams
beginning.
or pictures or anything. Yeah.
Rook
Sorry.
might have had time to make some notes in the beginning about like how the cipher works in Draconic, but it's not really useful for
Right.
Elwyn. You do see on 1 or 2 of the pages that same symbol that Rook spotted. The strange dragon with a third eye in the center of its head and runes on its horns and under its left and right eyes, and then its face kind of culminating in those strange tentacle-like appendages. What languages does Elwyn speak?
Elwyn speaks Abyssal, Common, Druidic, Elvish, and Undercommon.
Okay. The symbols on it don't seem to mean anything to you, unfortunately, but they don't look like Draconic. They don't match the script of the rest of the journal.
Okay. After a little while, I don't find anything. My eyes will wander to the other papers that are on the desk, especially the blank one. And I'll sit there, wait until I hear Rook's breathing change. And I'll set the journal down and I'll just go back to my bed and find something else to occupy my time with. Do a little bit of meditation.
Zach, on the papers, would she just basically see designs for armor and things like that?
Yeah, so I think so. I kind of had a visual image of how the desk was, but on like the right side, there was like sort of a array of like, clutters of papers, and those would have like measurements, designs for like, it looks like some sort of like different versions of like an armor, like a plate armor and like in some other types. And then you can see that liquid there. And you might be able to glean that this is for that or something. And then the center was where he was going to start looking through the Serpents and Notebook, so he kind of had things prepared to kind of like start writing things down and stuff like that. And on the left side, there was like just a paper there that didn't have anything on it. It was just kind of like over in the corner, kind of like maybe like the next thing in line or something.
Yeah, there's an order to the disorder, it seems.
But so do you like inspect anything, or are you like looking for something?
I think I'm just kind of looking at it. I mean, I helped you with your
So-
research the other day, so
Yeah.
I don't know how much insight that would give me into what exactly you're doing here.
Do you
but
want to
I'm
roll an
not
insight
trying
check?
to.
Because I'm thinking of some stuff.
It'd probably be more
Sure.
of an Arcana check or something like that.
Well, it's specific
Okay.
on what you want to find. Like if you're if
That's
your
true.
eyes are kind of going towards, if you're like, oh, these are just design things, I don't care, or if you're like looking for something else.
I'm not looking for anything in particular. I think I'm just curious about what you've been up to.
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and roll. I have some thoughts.
Ooh, it's another good roll. If it's insight, it is 22.
Okay, so I would say what you find on the blank sheet of paper that's on the left side is you see like these really strange, maybe not strange, but you see like crease marks on it where it's like somebody who's like, and this might have been better for like investigation, but you see like it's like someone who like held this paper and like stared at it for a while, and like they put it down, picked it up, put it down, picked it up, and they're like they just don't know what to do with it type of thing. Like it's just like something that got handled a lot, but nothing's written, and it's like pushed like kind of neatly into the corner. And then otherwise, if you wanted information on like the designs, or if you want to just know that they're like they're boring armor designs, you don't care.
I mean,
So
I am not knowledgeable about this area. But if I can tell their armor designs and that you're planning to use that liquid that we looked
Yep.
at together,
That's what I think
enough
you
for me.
gathered.
I think that's good enough.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
that's enough for me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's interesting.
You like see like the
Okay,
footnotes, and you're like you can see that it's like the liquid or something, or it's like
Yeah.
mercury liquid or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's interesting in the way that someone who doesn't have any history studying that field is interested in it. Like, oh, cool. All right, I can kind of see maybe what's going to happen here. Be interesting to see, kind of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the level
So-
of my curiosity.
Everyone else snoozes through the night, has a peaceful, nice night's rest. Elwyn kind of meditating and keeping watch over everyone. In the morning, you hear a sound at the window. It's a tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap,
I'll
tap, tap.
I'll go to the window, try to get to it before it wakes the rest of the party up.
When you kind of pull back the curtains a little bit to look out there, you see this sort of storm cloud gray, tiny drake, similar size to Malt, but unlike Malt, who has this kind of rotund body, this drake has a very long, thin, streamlined body and kind of oversized wings. And it is perched on the roof outside the window and tapping on the window with a claw. And when it sees the curtain get pulled aside, it just kind of looks quizzically at you.
I will open the window just a little bit and say, can I help you? There are people sleeping in here.
It tries to snake its head in.
I block it
Yeah, okay.
with my hands.
It doesn't try and force its way past your hands. It moves back, like it stumbles backwards a bit on the roof, kind of regains its footing. And then it kind of gives you a close look and opens its mouth. And a sound comes out.
Oh dear.
Hold on. Let me just find my note here.
That's better than the breath weapon. I thought that you had a face
I
full
know.
of.
I
I
was like,
was-
oh no, are you
yeah.
gonna fry my head?
I was worried, I'm like, duck and run.
Oh, no, I thought drinks were good.
Not all of them. The sound of a
Oh,
voice
dear.
comes out. It says, Silver Seekers, Governor Nyasa requests you visit her court this afternoon to discuss a matter of great importance. Bring the attached writ. And as that voice comes out of its mouth, it then shuts its mouth, and you can see there's actually, between its oversized wings, there's a leather tube strapped to its back on like a kind of a harness, and the lid on that pops open as soon as the last word comes out of its mouth. and you can see a piece of paper in there, and it kind of like bends down for you to reach in.
Okay, I very gingerly take it out of the tube. Thank you. We'll be there.
It makes kind of like a chirping sound, and then
kind of-
with
Reach out my finger tentatively to like give it a little scritch on its chin.
yeah, it kind of like nervously accepts the scritch, and then like bats its oversized wings and boom, zooms up into the sky at a really quick rate.
Have a nice day.
And you watch as it almost disappears against the clouds above. It's like the same color as the sky above, but you manage to track it heading back towards Harbor Watch Citadel. I think that's what the Citadel's called.
All right.
And yeah, you hold in your
I
hand
close the window
this
and
paper.
open the unscroll it, unravel it.
Well, it's actually it's sealed with a wax seal, kind of like has a picture. It's like this oval shape that is bisected by a wavy line that very much appears to be like water, as if it's like the ocean. And then there is the profile form of a dragon on both sides of the water line, kind of mirrored against each other. And this is, you've seen this before. This is the sigil of Port Horizon Shroud. And on the paper, on the outside of the paper, where did my note go? Nope, that's it. That's it. Yep, and I think that's a good place to end.
Oh, I
the
can't
episode.
open it and read it because I would immediately do that.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
You open it up, you break the wax seal, you open it up, and you start to read. And it's instructions to the Harbor Watch Citadel guard to let the group of you in.
Okay.
And I think that's a good place to end tonight's episode.
Okay. Great. Wonderful. Yay. Good recommendation.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
playing. Thank you to anyone who came around to watch. We'll be back with more of this Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. I think things are going to start getting pretty exciting. The group of you, the players will all be leveling up to level 3 now.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
If you
Should
didn't
we
catch
roll
on,
HP real quick?
we could do that real quick if you guys want to. Sure.
yeah. Grab my D8 that I didn't think I was going to use today.
Mine's
Hey,
also
that's a
D8.
good roll.
How'd you do, Embers?
Yay.
I got a 6.
6 plus your new Constitution
Plus my
bonus
new
for
con mod,
attuning to
yeah.
the item.
Yeah.
How did Rook do?
I got a 4.
Not bad. It's
Yep.
kind of average for you. Elwyn,
About average.
I got a 5.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
On a
Tuppence,
D8. Yeah.
I got a 4 also.
about average as well for Tuppence. Cool. So yeah, we'll pick up Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. These guys will be level 3. Things should start to get pretty exciting from now on. So hope to see you back then.
If it wasn't
Thanks for
already.
watching. Good
Woo!
night.
Yeah.
Night.
Bye.